Well, thanks everyone for joining with us to go over the Knowles Road Improvement Project open house. This will be our second one virtually. Hopefully in the future, we'll actually be able to have these in person. So just a little bit of housekeeping. My name is Eric Pearson. I'm the Public Works Director for Chelan County Public Works. So during the meeting, your microphones and video will be turned off until we get to the question portion of the presentation. If you have a comment or you have anything like that, when you reach the question portion, please use the raise your hand function to signal you'd like to speak. You could find that actually on the bottom. There's a menu bar that has on Facebook, it says reactions. You push that and then you'll see the button that says raise hand. If you feel more comfortable, you could also type your question in the chat box. If we miss you for some reason, please, by all means, you can send an email to Jill m.fitzsimmons@co.chelan.wa.us and she'll try to get it in there, or otherwise we could definitely follow up with you later on that question. When you're asking a question, please give your full name and address. And please stick to the topic of Knowles Road Improvement Project. There'll be another topic somebody may wish to discuss at the end, but we'll go through Knowles Road as well first. If you have a specific question about your property that will require one-on-one, that's when we're asking you to kind of wait. We can schedule an appointment and Lawrence will actually come and talk to you, or Court or Jeremy. If you have, in the event, this is being recorded and will be posted on the project website next week. So if there's other topics or you want to share this with anyone that has a question on the project, by all means. And we hope to be done by 6 p.m. tonight, so roughly an hour. So like I said, my name is Eric. Some other people that we have with us today is Lawrence Dillon. He's the designer on the project. You're going to wave, Lawrence? You'll be hearing from him. Paula Cox, the assistant county engineer, is on the call as well. Commissioners Gehring and Bugart are attending virtually. With Chelan PUD, we have Courtney Hill, which is the project manager for the water section of the project. And we also have with the city of Wenatchee, Jeremy Hoover, which is the senior engineer with the sanitary sewer. So from a project overview, we're going to have, way we'll run through this is we'll run through the project overview, the roadway utility impacts. We're far enough along in the design, obviously we'll be able to talk about our construction impacts and come over our staging. And after we run through all of the Knowles Road, if there are questions, because I anticipate some people may have them as far as future Easy Street, School Street intersection project that may be coming down in the pipe. We will have question and answers before the future Easy Street in concerning with Knowles. And then after we do a quick talk about the Easy School Street, we'll do a question and answer after that as well.
Eric?
Yeah.
So like Eric said, we had an open house last February, kind of gave what the project involved, kind of what the impacts were. I'm going to briefly go over that again, kind of at a high clip pace, and then talk about more of the construction impacts more in depth and how it'll affect the property owners. So just real briefly, Knowles Road is growing. The forecast in the Sunny Slope area is supposed to double in the next 20 years. A lot of developments kind of in the works in the area too. So this project is supposed to help address some of those issues. Currently the road is pretty narrow. It's like 22, 23 feet wide, and it lacks pedestrian and bike facilities. The future build of the road for the full build out is going to be done in 2 phases. This project is the first of those 2 phases. And kind of part of that is based on budget constraints and how much of an impact there will be. So this first phase focuses on mobility. The main thing there is improving the roadway, which improves commute access to the school. And also there's drainage issues that have been there kind of historically. They were trying to address some of those with the project. And we'll have a new domestic water line and sanitary sewer services installed. And the thought with that is, that infrastructure is nice to do it kind of all at one time and kind of minimize the impacts to the public. So our project overview, the project was awarded $1.4 million from the Transportation Improvement Board program. And it's also supplemented with local county road funds, PUD, and the city of Wenatchee funds. The phase we're going to be talking about right now is basically from School Street to American Fruit Road. There's a little section on School Street we'll look at closer. But for the phase of this project, it's basically between those two intersections. The next phase is going to continue up past American Fruit Road up to kind of where that hairpin turn is past Lily Lane. It's another quarter mile to have the full route connectivity from the start to the end. It's kind of looking at what we have in an aerial view. This dashed line represents existing sidewalk facilities. This north-south road here is School Street. You have Easy Street down here at the bottom. This project's got 2,200 feet of county roadway, as I mentioned, between Knowles and School Street up to American Fruit Road. And then the upper section has another 1,400 feet, which will get us past that hairpin and tie into the sidewalk. Once we got all those phases all complete, you have your route continuity, pedestrian access, bike path kind of from the Rolling Hills development area all the way down to the School Street, Sunny Slope school. This is kind of what the conditions look like out there right now. Like I said, it's a pretty narrow roadway width. It's about 11-foot lanes, and we have steep cut and fill slopes on either side. The proposed condition or proposed roadway is going to have 5-foot shoulders in addition to the 11-foot lanes that are out there now, and sidewalk on the west side of the road. And those 5-foot shoulders also can be used as a multi-use bike access. And in the roadway, we're going to install the sanitary sewer and the storm sewer. So with the domestic water line getting replaced, I'm going to hand it over to Courtney to kind of go over those details for what the need is and what the impact's going to be.
So as part of the project, we'll be replacing approximately 1,400 feet of existing 4-inch still water main with about 2,200 feet of 8-inch ductile iron water main. Obviously this is timing's perfect for the replacement of the still main, which is at the end of its useful life, to do as part of this bigger project. The new 8-inch main will increase the capacity and reliability of the water system in the area, and will also improve fire flow, and includes installing 4 new hydrants and replacing existing customer connections, as well as preparing for some future development through the corridor. As part of the water improvements, there will be water outages for the connections on the new main on both ends of the projects. Will require connection to existing main, and then of course for the customer service lines there'll be temporary outages for it as well. We typically hang door knockers prior to the outages to inform customers when the water will be shut off. So you'll be for any customers that we may have on the call with us tonight, you'll be notified of those outages before they occur. And there's a slide here in front of you showing some of the existing and some of the new water main through the corridor.
Thanks, Court. I'm going to switch it over to Jeremy with the sanitary sewer improvements.
Thank you. My name is Jeremy Hoover. I'm with the City of Wenatchee Utilities Department, Public Works. We're going to be installing a new sewer in the School Street and Knowles Road corridors, all the way from Easy Street in School north to Knowles Road, in Knowles Road up to American Fruit, and for a couple of 100 feet in American Fruit west of the Knowles Road and American Fruit intersection. Grand total, it's about 300 feet of 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, and 6-inch pipes. We're going to be installing side sewers for the existing lots as they are currently platted, and leaving stubs out for future extension for the subdivisions that are currently known. This map shows the approximate corridor of where we're going to be installing the new sewer. The 12-inch main will be in School Street, where it will transition to a 10-inch going up Knowles Road, and it will remain 10-inch all the way to American Fruit, as well as that section of pipe that's in American Fruit west of the intersection. There will be an 8-inch stub left for the two known developments that we have on the west side of the road, as well as at Majestic Lane, so that sewer could be extended up the hill at some point in the future. So residents that are connecting to the city sewer system would have to establish a billing account with the city. That can be done here at 1350 McKittrick, the Public Works building, once the sewer becomes active. The customer will be responsible for paying the connection fees. That includes system investment fee, local facilities charge, and inspection fees for the connections. The fees are structured so that there is a discount that's available on the local facilities charge. That charge discount is available for customers that are existing homes with septic systems and wish to connect to the city sewer within 2 years of it becoming available. There is an additional local facilities charge for areas that are north of US 97. That is called the Sunny Slope Local Facilities Charge, and that goes to pay for the existing downstream infrastructure that the city has installed in the last couple of years, including lift stations and the such. There are rate increases that are worked into the city code at present. The local facility charge is currently set to increase by 1% per year. And the monthly sewer bill for 2022 is going to be $33.29, which is approximately 6% over what it is this year. That rate will go up again in 2023 and continue on based on the ordinances that are in effect at that point. The total values for connections for existing versus new construction are also shown here, with and without the discount. So $11,130.27 versus $14,267.53. So you can see that there's a significant benefit to connecting early once it becomes available, but you would also have to you'd have to decommission your septic tank in accordance with the health district's regulations when you hook up. Multifamily developments, we don't have any specifically at this point in this corridor, but if there do turn out to be multifamily developments, they are assessed additional system investment fees in the amount of $2,782.50 per equivalent residential unit in the property, in the development. If the densities or the developments in this area change, the multifamily assessment will be utilized to determine the fees of whatever multifamily development happened in this area. So the city council is currently looking at changes to the sewer rate structure, section 4-08 of the Wenatchee City Code. There will be amendments heard by city council on November 18th of this year, and they will make a decision as to whether or not any changes will happen to the code at that point. It will affect both monthly bills, the future increases to monthly bills, and the way that the connection fees for multifamily residences are assessed, and anything else that they choose to change at that point.
Thanks, Jeremy. So that's kind of the infrastructure we want to construct. That's kind of where we're at right now. The plans, the design is basically 100% complete. We're looking to go out to advertisement for bids on November 16th. And then probably early December, we'd award the contract to the low bidder. We plan on starting work February 28th. That's the early start, but kind of going to that later. And the total construction is expected to take 25 weeks, which means we'd wrap up in September. Oops. So during construction, in order to do the work, it's going to require some detours. And we're going to kind of restrain how much the detour will be in place, the duration with the contractor. So currently we're looking at the detour on School Street, which is mostly for that sewer line being installed between Easy Street and Knowles Road. Will be February 28th through April 1st. And the reason for this is the trench excavation, and we have to bore underneath the irrigation line, the Wenatchee Rec District irrigation line, when it's dry. So the water usually comes on April 1st, April 15th. So that's why we're starting the project so early. During that closure, we'll still have access to driveways. But as far as through traffic, it's going to be routed around. And there's no parking on School Street either. So we'll kind of look at a map and what those effects are. Quick overview on Knowles Road. When that work commences after the School Street stuff's done, looking at a 40 working day detour. And that's also required based on the trench excavation and kind of that narrow roadway that I showed you earlier. And we're going to allow the detour after school is out to try to minimize some of those impacts. When all the detours are complete, there's still going to be some more work that remains. And when we get to that stage, the road will basically be gravel road with one lane closure, flagger directed traffic. We'll try to keep the delays less than 10 minutes. I was kind of looking at the trench excavation. So when the contractor goes in there to put in these sewer systems and stormwater systems, it's all based on gravity systems, and we need a certain percentage to have all that stuff flow downhill. So it's going to require some excavation. It's kind of a preview of one of the deeper trench box locations of up to 20 feet deep. So just kind of put that in perspective on the roadway. If you're going down 20 feet, having all the contractors' equipment out there, shoring, spoil piles, all your pipe material, it's not really feasible to have traffic allowed on that roadway when that work's occurring. I mean, the good news is they do the work in sections, so they'll kind of lay the pipe and backfill it as they go, but they're going to take up most of the roadway to achieve that work. So here's the proposed detour layout. So I'm going to share. You guys see that map overview? Yeah. So this is going to be the School Street closure. So when we do this work from Easy Street up to Knowles Road and close this work, we're going to route traffic around Easy Street, up Crestview, and American Fruit Road. So if you live on School Street, that's kind of the roundabout way is American Fruit Road to Knowles Road and back up to School Street. Like I said, this works February 28th to April 1st. The overall detour length is 1.8 miles. And if there's parking required in addition to, if you're adjacent to that work area on School Street, we're going to have some additional parking kind of at the intersection of Knowles Road. And then we're going to leave the sidewalk facilities open during construction also. The intersection actually will not be night work. We're going to do 2 days of intersection work in Easy Street, but we'll do it kind of off peak. We'll do it from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. for 2 days, just to tie into the new manholes there. So that's the School Street closure. Knowles Road is pretty much similar to that. So basically the same impact, 1.8 miles, detour. It's a longer closure area, obviously, from the intersection of School and Knowles up to American and Knowles. And like I said, as they kind of work up here, they'll open the trench and backfill it the end of the day. And we'll coordinate with all the landowners who have access off of Knowles Road when we'll be in front of their driveway. And we're going to limit to how long they can, you'll lose access to your driveway. You'll know in advance with door hangers. And then there'll be an impact where they're laying the pipe, we'll backfill it into the day so you can still access the driveway. So we can take questions at the end too about those impacts, but back to the slideshow. Too many screens going on here. Give me 1 second. Okay. So during construction, I mean, obviously you have the impacts to access and driveways that we're going to coordinate. As far as emergency services, mail delivery, garbage pickup, school bus routes, all that stuff will be coordinated through Public Works and the contractor giving all the notices and when those impacts will be in place and kind of give you project updates as we proceed. So those are kind of the main points for obviously what the impact's going to be. We can take specific questions. I'll let Jill kind of handle that related to the Knowles Road project.
Yeah, and this is just a reminder the best way to do this is to do the raise hand function. Again, you go down to the toolbar at the bottom. It's got a smiley face reaction. You click on that and it'll say have a raise hand. The other option too is to type a question in the chat box, which is also another button on the toolbar. Now, remember to give your full name and address when you're asking your question, please.
At the very end too, we'll have our contact information if you want to ask questions afterwards, or they're more property specific. You can definitely address those at a later time if you want.
Okay, Dennis has a question for you.
I've got a couple questions. You said the water main is going to be out of service for a short period of time and you're going to contact the users. Will that just impact users between basically the cemetery and American Fruit, or is it going to impact everyone all the way up Knowles up into Mountain Brook?
So when we do the connections, it will affect the users on between School Street and American Fruit Road, and those that are above American Fruit Road to the subdivision just to the north of there, or
Okay.
just to the.
So it's will it impact the ones up by Rolling Hills and all through there?
No, that's served by a different section of the water system. So.
Okay. The other question is, how many vehicles are we talking about daily using Knowles Road? Any idea? Because there's going to be a lot of us going on American Fruit to get around.
Eric, you got it?
I'm looking at that.
Yes.
Everyone up above American Fruit's going to be having to take one of those detours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the average daily amount on that is about 1,157, and that's the daily use. During peak hour, which is probably we're going to see it the most, the AM peak hour, we have around 132. That
Just by chance, was that survey taken before Corona or after Corona or during it, or?
well, and that's a very good question. That was done in May of 2019. And so the traffic patterns do obviously have modified with a lot more people doing remote work. And so we have found that some of that peak hour tends to be more spread out throughout the day.
Okay.
I think the detour is definitely a necessity. I mean, one of the benefits of the detour, obviously, you don't have the traffic backing up. If you have that same volume stopped with 10-minute delays, that backs up pretty quick. And also the production of what we'll get on the roadway, we'll get the contractor out of there faster. So he's able to just, have the whole full roadway for his use on that detour. So.
No, I don't have a problem with the detour. Just curious because it's going to get a little crowded there on American Fruit, I think. That's it. It's good for now.
Is there anybody else?
Yeah,
My name is Eric Arlt at 3411 School Street here at Lombard's. Present for Mark this evening. Just a couple questions on semi trucks and the detour. If the semi, we have semis that come every day. Any foreseeable problems on the School Street detour is the first question. And then the second question, when they start the Knowles Road detour, will the semis be able to come up School Street and turn into the parking lot?
So that second part, once the School Street detour is done, we're just focusing on the work on Knowles Road. School Street will still be the same width and use as it is currently. We might pave it a little bit later, so it might be like a gravel condition. But you'll have full use of that once that first detour is done. As far as the turning radius on the intersection of American and Knowles, I can look at that closer. I don't think there's gonna be any issues with semis making that right-hand turn, probably the hardest
Right.
maneuver. I'll look at it a little bit closer. If we need to do something to accommodate that, kind of look at that and write that in the contract. It's a good comment.
Sure, yeah. Okay, thanks. That's all I had.
Hi, my name is Brad Kramer. I live at 4175 Knowles Road. And I just had a question about I know you're doing this in 2 phases, but it seems like one of the worst bottlenecks on the road is right at American Fruit, where it's kind of a blind corner there because there's a transmission pole right there in the corner. Is the plan, is that going to be to move that back a ways and make that visibility a little better right there?
Yeah, so with the project, we're going to the arrow will be here. So with the project, we're going to improve the American Fruit and Knowles Road intersection because we're going to go back on American Fruit about 250 feet. And we're going to raise the roadway up about 3 feet, which will give you better sight distance, looking north and south. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because the PUD is going to relocate 3 or 4 transmission lines before the work starts. And that work will be done before April 1st. So that transmission pole that you're talking about is going to get moved up the bank about 20 feet. And then with the wider shoulders being 5 feet and the sidewalk being 5 feet, you'll have a lot more clear sight triangle or view at the stop sign. You'll be able to see a lot further. So the
Okay.
whole intersection is getting improved with the project.
Perfect. All right, thanks. That's all I had for question.
Okay.
I don't see any more questions out there.
Okay.
We'll
So
probably-
sorry, go ahead,
We'll probably
Lawrence.
send out some door hangers too, when we actually start construction. We actually do the impacts. The people that couldn't attend the open house, those directly adjacent to School Street, and the parking will definitely touch bases again if they weren't able to attend. Go over that in more detail.
Yeah, and if you think of a question later, we'll have bottom of the presentation, we'll have contacts for you, and we'll hold that open for you to actually take notes. But you're going to bring it up, Lawrence?
Yeah, I'm working on it. 1 second.
I think everyone will agree we'll be very happy when we can actually be in a room to talk about these things.
I don't see the share. There it is. So can you see my screen or not?
I can, you just need to start the show again.
You see that?
Yeah. That works. So we have been receiving a couple calls, obviously with the apartment complex going in on the west side of School and Easy. So I'm just giving a real quick update with that. So going through the SEPA process and everything with the project, we worked with the developer on that. And so for those that aren't necessarily familiar, they plan on actually building an apartment complex on the west and on the east side of School Street, right in that intersection. So given they go through and do a traffic analysis report to see what sort of impacts their additional volumes will actually cause. So with that, we've negotiated with them, and they're going to be dedicating right of way for an intersection improvement, which will be a roundabout that we're planning to have at the intersection of Easy and School. And then on top of that, they are paying some mitigation payments for their impacts. It's one of those where by law, and rightfully so, we don't say you have to build the entire thing, because there is a base level of traffic that's actually impacting that roadway as well. So what our game plan is, we're already doing some preliminary design and some survey work on it. The estimated amount is around $1 million to do the roundabout. We'll be receiving roughly about 170 from the developer. So we're going to be going out for additional grant sources to get those funds. And so we'll be looking, it'll probably be tentatively about 2025 is when we'll actually be building that. Partly just from going through the design, if there is any additional right of way from other parcels, which would be somewhat minor. And then not only that, as far as securing the additional funds for the grants. The question came in, can you make the slideshow larger? I do not know how to, so I apologize for that. But if you have any questions or anything like that, or you want to leave contacts, we could actually print it or send you a copy. So with that, yeah, as Jill said, she could also make it into a PDF and send it to anyone who shares the email. And how you can share the email, what I recommend is just sending your email request to publicworks@co.schland.wa or at Jill Fitzsimmons of what we said, or these other contact information, and then we can actually get it back to you. So with that, we'll give you a little bit of time for this, and if you want to write it down. In addition, if anybody actually has, we didn't necessarily open it up for questions on the Easy Street, School Street intersection, but I'd be happy to answer anything that I may know about.
Dennis have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I'm up at 4032 Knowles, and just a little concerned that it's going to be 4 years before we get any relief on that intersection at School and Easy Street. You get down there 8 in the morning when school's going, it's taken forever to get across there. Same thing coming in the afternoon, and like you guys said at the start, we're getting a lot of development in this corridor north of America, or up the road from American Fruit. And is there anything else that can be done besides waiting 4 years for?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm grateful we have a fire station close by, because I'm afraid it's going to be needed there.
Yeah, one thing we're going to be kind of watching for, and this is something that will definitely come out in the community before it just suddenly gets installed, but roundabouts are real similar to signals. As it reaches a certain point, you can put a temporary measure in until you actually get the signal or roundabout in, and that's a four-way stop. And so that's something that it's not, there's some people that do not necessarily like them, but it's a means of actually controlling the intersection for a short time, for a short period until the project can be completed. So that's something that we'll be watching for and seeing when we need to actually get out there and put that in.
I appreciate that because I think it's going to be with all the development going on Easy Street to the, down towards Monitor, a lot more people are using Easy, and it's going to be a little more difficult for those of us to get across and get out.
Yeah, and I do know it's going to be an interesting or a busy season next year because the DOT is planning to do that roundabout as well. And so that'll be at the US 2 and Easy Street, as well as paving on Wenatchee to Cashmere. So they will be coming out with some more information on that to let everybody know.
Okay, thank you.
There's a hand raised by ML.
Yeah, Eric Arlt here for Mark. One other thought I had for the semi trucks here at Lombard's. There's a north entrance in the parking lot and a south entrance in the parking lot. Traditionally, the semi trucks take a right into the parking lot at the north entrance, loop all the way around the building, unload in the southeast corner, and then exit out of the south entrance of the parking lot. Will they be able to use both those entrances or not?
Pull the map up, kind of look at it. The intersection of Knowles and School Street during the School Street closure will still be open. And like I said, that trench work, it kind of works in phases, or close the road down, but the actual equipment and work operation might only be in that area for a couple days. But that intersection is going to be all open with barricades and road closed sign just south of Knowles Road. So it's going to pass your access is that on. You can call me afterwards too. I can give you the actual contract plans for that intersection to kind of show exactly what the impact's going to involve. But
Okay, yeah.
like I said, a lot of that works about where that
Go
church is at, where the radius return is. That's probably where the road closure is going to be. Oh, yeah, I see your self access there.
I just, we're gonna get into big problems,
Yeah.
if they can't exit out of that south entrance.
Okay.
And go straight across the street up Knowles.
Yeah, we look at that closer. You probably bump that closure down to the south entrance, but there's is going to be probably a day or two in there where we're actually going to be installing that last, whatever, 30, 40 feet of pipe. Because we have to tie into that manhole at the intersection of Knowles and School Street.
Okay.
But if we let you know ahead of time, kind of coordinate your deliveries, kind of work with you on that.
Yeah.
But
Okay, yeah, that's great, yeah, maybe, if you know a day, for a day or two, I can let those that truck know that we can unload off the road or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll be inspecting the project too. So we'll be on site, coordinate with you as that stuff comes up.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lawrence.
So any additional questions? Okay. Well, I appreciate everyone spending the time with us and working through the virtual open house. And we'll start in, and if you have any questions or like what we said a couple times, concerns with your particular parcel or property, go ahead and reach out to us and we can be a little bit more specific to some of your concerns. And with that, thanks for everyone showing up tonight. Oh, and we'll also, as Jill points out, we'll post a video on the website by Tuesday of next week.